of course, I want to report that your Commission on Aging is doing great. We have we had each of the, we're vigorously executing our goals for the year. And committee chairs have reported all the wins and the pivots when they met with challenges. So we'll hear more about that. Also, our members are working through the Northern Virginia Aging Network to promote affordable housing and healthcare for older adults, as well as to protect older adults in long-term care. And finally, we are collaborating with other commissions. For example, the Disability Advisory Commission, they reached out to us, we shared our age-friendly plan, and we talked about areas that we can collaborate together. But today, we want to thank Kasia and Path Forward for hosting us.
Good morning. Thank you so much for coming and let us host.
Yes.
And then we'll have Ayana come and talk at 10 o'clock about the housing programs.
Wonderful.
And I hope you can stick around for a quick tour afterwards.
Yes, I think JD is has a schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If, go ahead.
Go ahead. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Well, thank you and good morning, everyone. I think it's been several months since I've been here in person. As I tell all the commissions, being a board member with 11 months under my belt, who knew that they were going to give, we have about almost 50 some odd commissions or regional boards, and of which about 17 of them that I'm the liaison to. So, when you think about that in a very realistic way, I wish I could come to all the meetings, but William and I, we communicate constantly about a number and a host of issues that you're working on. I'm so proud that you're working alongside the Disabilities Commission. Now we're somewhat, I'm liaison there as well. We are somewhat revitalizing that commission, and Karen, who's leading that, and a few others have done some really robust work. In fact, I'll be with them tonight as they're finishing out their year. So, but look, to be here on a brisk Monday morning and see your smiling faces here at Path Forward, up bright and early, tells me that, Bill, we're doing some great work here, and this is a place that people want to be. Growing up in South Carolina, my dad mom used to tell me, if a person want to be somewhere, guess what? They'll be there. And again, just to see you here and to see your, provide input and direction and advising the board in your capacities, it is commendable. And to Path Forward, I know with the CEO, President Betsy, kind of leads this. We just want to thank you for opening up your doors and allowing for a tour. On the backside, I've done a couple of tours here. This is an amazing place. Keep in mind, we're into getting into the winter months now, and we probably will see an increase of folks coming here. But thank you, Path Forward, for the work that you do in our community. With that being said, I have nothing pointed to say. I just wanted to come by and really thank you for all your work, your time, and your attention in all things aging. Where's Carol Lieber at? Is she here with us this morning?
She might be on vacation.
Oh, okay. All right.
Well,
Carol,
we're about to have her as a new member.
yeah. So you're about to have as a new member. I know I've made a few appointments, or the board has. But look, if there's any questions or concerns you have of me and Bill as the chair, or feel free to reach out to me directly. Other than that, I just thank you. Thank you, and look forward to some of this meeting, and then I'm going to have to break away in about 30 minutes because I'm off to another engagement. All right, I can walk and chew gum literally at the same time. All right, thank you.
Yes, thank you, JD. So why don't we just go around the room and tell us any wins that you have, the things that you're proud of. Kate is, hey, I'm on the spot. Anything that you care to talk about, Kate and Kasia, from the healthcare side that you're working on, that there's just one or two things so that JD's, I sent him your goals, but if you want to talk about what you're excited about.
Well, we're still excited about the goals we have set for ourselves. It's just we have to pivot a little bit because we found that some of the things that we were looking to implement a lot more complex under the surface than they are on the surface. So we're working through that, but one of our biggest goals is to kind of simplify or be able to simply explain to individuals the discharge process from the hospital, especially when it involves complex discharges that require support services in the community. So we have to pivot a little bit on that. When I first met with Fran from VHC Health, There's too many extraneous factors to just simplify and make it very simple. So we're gonna work through that. But we do have some already existing, forms that Molly has found for us that we can look at adapting it to Arlington, residents. And then the other thing is the dental piece. We were very disappointed to find that there is almost no affordable dental programs available. Everything is concierge or private insurance or out of pocket.
Great, good to know. All right, so I'm not gonna put Kate on the spot unless you want to.
together
Yeah,
on
you
that.
say something. So Audrey, for the housing committee.
For housing. So we're still working on affordable housing, following SPRCs. There's a new potential church renovation that is going to provide housing, affordable housing for older adults. And so they've asked us to do some research. Dustin and Rachel have provided most of what they need. They need some information on parking, which I'm trying to get. They want to know how many parking spaces, affordable housing units like Culpeper use, because the neighbors are concerned about on-street parking.
Okay,
Culpeper apparently has enough because there's always parking in front of Culpeper.
yeah,
So I'm hopeful that that's not going to be a stumbling block for anyone. And Erica and I have started to talk to civic associations about home safety.
great.
Although
Thanks for the outreach.
that didn't feel like the right venue. So we're looking at libraries or other kinds of
Yeah,
55 plus or something. But
great, we gotta get out there.
yeah,
So I'm gonna switch over to Charlie because I know JD's got his schedule. So Charlie, long-term care.
Our long-term care residences committee, couple things. One, we met with the state ombudsman, Joey Latimer, last week. Had a great discussion about collective ideas on increasing transparency of nursing home ownership and operations. And I think we'll be following up on those. Some of them in the long run are going to require legislation, but that's so long-term goal. The other thing that we're very excited about is William and I had the chance to meet with the leadership of on assisted living. They are an assisted living organization, small one, locally owned and operated, with 3 homes, one in Fairfax, one in West Falls Church, and the newest in Arlington by New Yorktown Boulevard. We visited the home and met with their leadership. And the exciting thing is that it is the first model we've seen in our whole Northern Virginia area of a facility for older and disabled persons that uses the small household model. You've heard of the greenhouse model. It's not part of the greenhouse network, but it's exactly the same kind of model. And it's the kind of model we've been wanting to promote. So we're hoping to work with them to get them more visibility, thinking of having an open house for our elected. And also they are in the process of getting approval to open up a second in Arlington. And we're really excited about that.
Thank you. And our vice chair of transportation.
good morning.
Can you hear me? This is
Yes, we
Claire.
can.
You hear me?
Yeah, we
Hi, I'm too excited about Paragon because Charlie,
Well,
may
Claire,
have-
can you hold on?
Yeah.
We're just having the
Yeah.
committee chairs update. So go ahead, Peggy.
Okay, this is on the transportation committee. One of those we had was to meet with 100 residents. Thus far, we have visited 4 out of the 5 independent living residencies in Arlington County, Hunters Park, Woodland Hill, Culpeper Garden, and Harlan. The only one that was still missing is the carriage house. Hopefully, we will get a better contact for that so that we can schedule that appointment. We've exceeded our goal of 100 residents. So far, we have interact with 120 residencies,
A lot of effort.
and we have collected 46 surveys
Excellent. In multiple languages. right?
in multiple languages. Thank you.
Super. Thank you all for your hard work and the outreach. That's great. What I think aging equity is the next committee. Roland.
Even though we have had about 3 webinars working with Michelle Thomas at VICAMP on fraud and scams. We're working on another one. Hopefully it's going to be in the month of December, and we're working with Kasha and Path Forward to have such a presentation by the Arlington Police Department. Hopefully that's going to occur pretty much in a couple of weeks, and that will give us about 4 such presentations during the course of this year. We're also working with the Arlington Community Foundation. They have an LGBTQ community group that's dealing with issues in the community here in Arlington. We have proposed to them a panel they put together. They've done several panels this year, one on mental health, one that dealt with the history of Arlington, very interesting history of Arlington, goes back about 5 decades, and organizations involved. And the topic that we have presented to them is aging with pride, building connection, combating loneliness, and confronting ageism in Arlington's LGBTQ plus community. So hopefully I'll be able to report on that. It's my understanding at the next meeting, probably the meeting in January, because my understanding is going to be presented to their committee that they have for consideration. And all indications seem to be very, very favorable to something like that. Also, we are working with 55 plus, and we're working with VICAMP on putting together some sort of archives for fraud and scam. There does exist in VICAMP such an archives. There does exist in 55 plus archives of all of the various events that they've had, and it's in their YouTube channel. So hopefully we're going to be getting together with Jessica, who's our representative on that, and also Michelle. And our goal is to put something in place so that someone can go to the Arlington County website, and they'll be able to get links to all of the various areas that they have scams and fraud. So that's one of the big goals pretty much for next year. Also, we recently did a review of members, and we found out we have about 32 active people on that group, about 6 commission members, but a large number of people from the community who are still active on the committee. So, all right, that's good.
Thank you, Roland. And of course, our legislative efforts. Erica.
Great, thank you so much. Well, the Commission on Aging works with the Northern Virginia Aging Network, and known as NVAN. NVAN has been very, very busy the last 2-3 weeks, meeting with legislators either by Zoom or in person, mostly by Zoom, in advance of the session, which starts in January, and in advance of the governor's budget, which will come out in December. So the Arlington Commission on Aging has the responsibility for meeting with Arlington legislators. We've met with Delegate Hope, Senator Favola, and today, this very day, right?
Yes.
So thanks to your continuing efforts, we'll be meeting with Delegate McClure and Delegate Lopez. That's still in the works, but we'll put that concern later. So I wanted to, I think that hopefully you all are familiar with 7 items on the NVAN legislative platform, including JB. But I brought the grip cards, the only things, and then grip cards, which I'll pass around just in case. So we have 3 legislative items. We have 4 budget items. I won't go into them all now. But each one of them is so important and so timely, and we want to be all of that for the session to really to get all the support.
Okay.
Thank you, Erica. Yeah, thanks to all our members for participating in that. NVAN is so important to advancing our goals, and we've been very successful. So, for example, having half the meetings via Zoom, that's something that we achieved through NVAN. So, yes, good work. All right, so I am going to turn it over to Rachel and Dustin. Oh, Jake,
This is
Let me,
Claire again. Do I have time to make a comment?
let's have JD. JD
Yeah.
wants to make a comment.
yes, well, thank you for those updates, and I just want to say a few things. you talked a little bit about the long-term care and increasing transparency. I really appreciate what you're doing there. And I know it's kind of tied to what's going on over here with Erica. If you have some problems reaching Delegate Lopez, we're neighbors, just let me know. And please send my regards to the McClure today. We meet with her because I know she's a stalwart champion for all things aging. Roland, with the work you're doing with ACF, I'm very curious to know how I can help as well, especially when we're dealing with scams. I've talked to a number of folks, the seniors in the area who are very concerned about, the scamming piece that's going on. So I'd love to speak, you and I maybe at some point in time offline to talk about how I could be involved in that way. I know of a young lady, probably, in her seasoned lady who lost $60,000 recently due to a scam. Okay, and it's very unfortunate. But on a good news, I don't know if this is good news. I did not mention this. Bill, I know you're probably familiar with the MCOG Human Services Policy Committee, which is another regional board that I'm on. Has anyone here attended those meetings? There. Well, I am the county board liaison. I was this past year. I am. But I was asked last week if I would chair that committee for next year. And I started saying, well, what's up with the other 20 some odd people there? But I guess we're doing good work. I only bring that up because in that committee of MCOG, we focus a lot on not just housing, but one of the tier areas that we talk about is aging. We had a report a few months back in July from Culpeper Guard who came up and gave us a brief. So I just share that with you as another tier of engagement when he talks about aging where I'm involved. And I just have the pleasure of being able to chair that entire committee next year for the District of Washington, Virginia, and all of us, the region. So that is something you should be made aware of. And other than that, that's with the surveys they're paying and what y'all doing, like you exceeded your goals at 120. Failure is not an option, and it looks like it's working with you. So thank you again for your hard work. And if you have problems with that last area, that last place you're trying to reach out to, let me know. I figured out I know how to pick locks. Not nervous, but I can really I can help cut through some of the barriers that may be there. But thank you for your engagement, you and the entire team, and that's a good story. Other than that, Bill, I know you have a schedule to attend to, an agenda. Thank you all for your time and attention, and I'll stay probably 5 more minutes. And
Sure, and we'd love to help you out on the MCOG anyway.
Oh yeah, you and I should talk.
Yes, sir.
That's gonna be pretty heavy lift for me in 2026.
So we do that committee again?
The Human Services Policy Subcommittee under the MCOG. You can just Google that. MWCOG Human Service Policy Committee. Oh yeah.
Awesome. We can have impact across the.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Trust me,
bringing
I'll be rocking Arlington in those communities that you told me. We set a high standard for others to emulate around here.
Super. Well, I'm gonna hand it over to Dustin and Rachel. Do you want to do your part now?
Yes.
While JD is here and
No, we.
show the flag.
Good morning, everyone, and we have Maimuna joining us virtually from Sequoia, so we will actually let Maimuna, if you want to go first. And y'all are on mute, but you can go first for the staff updates.
Good morning, everyone. We are hailing here from Sequoia. My apologies. I'm actually glad that I'm here because we have a member, a colleague that just joined, and she looked for the meeting, but we were glad to have this intimate audience right here from Sequoia. So sorry we could not join you, but it's good to be with you. In the department, we are really just, again, paying close attention to the impacts on the federal landscape. You all know in the news, SNAP has been restored, and we're really grateful for our most vulnerable populations, but there's still a lot of concern. There's still a lot of worry. There's still a lot of fear, and the division all of our community-based services are working very hard, from Rachel's Bureau to the Developmental Disability Services, to really reach the most at risk. In terms of our division, we are recruiting for interns. So we actually have someone that just started today, and she is from George Mason University School of Social Work. Her name is LaJoya Banks. So she's right here to my right, probably to your left. And Haja Cisse is her supervisor. So we are actively recruiting, and you might recall that we have partnerships with George Mason, VCU, and we also have Liberty University. This gives our social work students an opportunity to see aging at its finest, and also to be able to contribute through their learning contract. They have an agreement where they have to build some competencies. But I can tell you that over the years, we've been able to hire at least 30% of our interns. So they do, once they have their experience with us in aging, they don't leave. So that's a good thing. We're building the next generation of social workers right here. To Kasha's point earlier around care coordination with VHC, we're really looking to strengthen our collaborative efforts, coordinated efforts with VHC, because we know that the complexities are only growing. And so internally, I have formed a committee of expert staff who we're putting together an internal plan so that we can work again stronger and more collaboratively with VHC. So I'm really grateful for Kasha doing the initial conversation, and we actually have a follow-up conversation tomorrow with them. I can't think of anything else at the top of my head, but I'm going to turn it over to Rachel, because she probably has more information that she can provide, anything that I've forgotten, and Dustin. But thank you. Good to see everyone.
Well, thank you, Maimuna, and hi, Carol. We're glad you're here as well. But just want to first thank Kasha and Pass Forward for hosting us. We've been sharing some of the numbers that we're seeing with unhoused older adults, as well as older adults who are facing evictions, or we're seeing a lot more with utility cutoff notices now. As we've shared before, the emergency financial assistance for the department, we're often exhausting that within the first few days of each month. So we continue to work with our community partners, organizations, faith communities, but it just speaks to how great the need is. And so thank you all for your advocacy. Thank you for the partnership Path Forward. We are fortunate in Arlington that we have these networks and communities and advocates like each of you. Just a few updates that I wanted to share for our Community Supports and Coordination Bureau. We have 2 vacancies, one in Adult Protective Services and one in Adult Services. So we'll, as the follow-up, we'll share those recruitment links. But if you know anyone who is a passionate advocate, I know for our Adult Protective Services, we're continuing to see an increase in financial exploitation. So the work of the committee, especially the outreach committee around fraud, is really critical. So a few of the things that I know Dustin's going to talk a little bit more about the shutdown and the impact that it had on our population. We are really fortunate in Arlington that we are an agency on aging housed within local government, that we have such support from JB, our county board members, our elected officials. We were able to sort of weather the shutdown a little bit better than some of our counterparts throughout the state who had to lay off staff, who had to pause services. But we are very closely monitoring the impact. We know that the continuing resolution goes until January. And so just really looking at our programs, our services, and evaluating how we can stretch every single dollar the best we can to serve the most vulnerable and Dustin's going to share one of the ways that we've already tried to proactively start doing that. I do want to share some updates, some very good news. I guess I alluded to this in the last meeting, but for the last probably few months, we have been kicking out the AI bots in meetings. We finally got approval from the county attorney's office that because these are public meetings, you are able to use your chat bots, your Otter, whatever they are named. But if we go into closed session, that's when we have to kick them out. But with that, I also want to thank Claudia, who is on the call virtually, who does a great job taking minutes for these meetings and sharing those. And just a few quick state updates. The auxiliary grant, the rate is going to increase to $2,130 a month effective January 1st. This is a small way that contributes to affordable assisted living, but we know the Commission on Aging, the Northern Virginia Aging Network has been advocating relentlessly and will continue to advocate. And that's the statewide amount for Northern Virginia because it is a little bit higher. It will increase to $2,418. And so this is, again, such a great need within our community. The only change with that is that the personal needs allowance will remain at $87 per month. And then the Adult Protective Services has a dashboard on the state website. We may have the Adult Protective Services team come to a future meeting, but that's one of the resources that talks about the increase that we're seeing for Adult Protective Services, investigations, and then the outcome and the impact. So something that we might want to look at. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dustin for other AAA updates.
Thank you, Rachel. Good morning, everyone. I also want to echo the thank you to Path Forward for hosting this. This is great partnership. So just to quickly jump in what Rachel talks about in terms of how the county continues to step up and support residents, our clients, and the emergency food assistance. A couple different things. One, we purchased bulk shelf-stable meals so that if anybody comes into the county, go to our adult daycare, our 60+ cafes, we have shelf-stable meals that we can give to them. This is something that we normally do, but we bought more this year for that. And then the second piece, JD and the team pulled together an additional $350,000 to support food with AFAC. Yeah, sorry, with AFAC to continue that great partnership. And that is just a phenomenal partnership along with Meals on Wheels of Arlington that the county continues to do. And so we just really want to recognize that and highlight everyone to that fact. Couple other things really quick. So putting this out, call for volunteers, the 2026 Community Engagement Forum. So we do this every year in March. So in March of 2026, we're going to focus in on transportation. So I want to thank Peggy and Catalina and the Transportation Committee for already helping to start that planning. If anybody's interested, you can reach out to me. You can via email or phone number, and that information will be out in the follow-up email that comes after the meeting. So please reach out. We're really excited. Previous areas of focus were Safe at Home in 2025, livable communities like age-friendly Arlington, the 5-year plan in 2024. So we're really excited about that to kick off the planning. I want to highlight
March 16th, is that right?
March 17th, I think. Is it 17th?
16.
Yeah,
16.
okay.
That
So JD, we thought that, our invitation extended as always, of course.
Well,
So
I'll have some final thoughts when they're finished.
Super.
We got you.
Yes, sir. All right. Just a couple other quick things. I just want to highlight and recognize our VICAP team. A few folks have talked about that, our volunteers. Through open enrollment, which is going on now through December 7th, that's helping out our folks who have Medicare and Medicaid, helping them change plans, whatever it is they need to do. We have supported 7 different events. There's an eighth event today, JD, and this one will be particular of interest. Michelle and the team are going to be supporting at Culpeper Garden. They're going to provide a fraud prevention little presentation. So really excited about that. And I believe we've served over 100 residents so far this year. And so just really want to call out Charlie. Michelle, are there any other volunteers online that I should be highlighting? Michelle Thomas, by the way, is our VICAP program coordinator. I want to recognize her as well.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. Not just yet. They're not here online,
Okay.
but thank you.
All good. Thank you for that fabulous work. And then just wanted to provide some quick staffing updates. Our new human services specialist was onboarded with the ADRC, our information and referral team, earlier this month. Really excited about that. Our second social work intern, who you all just met with Maimuna and Haja just a few minutes ago. Really excited that she started with us today. And then one of our great temporary staff members transitioned back into retirement, and her replacement started last month, and he was a former intern. So what Maimuna talked about, a lot of our interns, they start as interns and they come back and they become staff. So really excited about that. And then just the last thing, just wanted to highlight that later this week, in partnership with Meals on Wheels of Arlington, we're going to be meeting with Meals on Wheels of America. I don't know if all of you knew, but their headquarters in Arlington. And so trying to sort of help flourish that relationship and sort of help support Meals on Wheels of Arlington. So we're really excited about that.
Great. We've got it. JD.
Yeah, great. Very good overviews. I do have some thoughts. Mamona and Rachel and Dustin, really thank you. I want to go to talk briefly about recruiting for interns. You have partnerships with GMU. You know, I sit on 2 councils there, so I love it. Liberty and VCU. I am curious to know, have we considered partnerships perhaps with Nova or Marymount? Reason I ask that, I also sit as the board liaison to our local colleges and universities, and the president from Nova just gave me a brief last week, so I'm just curious. I know they have some programs over there. Anything with Nova or Marymount going on with us? Partnership?
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Spain. We do have a partnership with Marymount University for nursing.
Right.
We've had it for years, and we also have staff that sit on the Optimal Aging Center for Aging board. So we are in very close partnership. Northern Virginia Community College, we could use your network for that, for bridging that gap. We do not have
Okay,
partnership.
great. So what I would like to do, not to cut you off, I want to we can sit down with the president of the university, of the college. We're going to make that happen. So let's talk a little bit later, and we're going to make that happen.
Thank you so much.
And see where I do want to go back for a second. I've talked about all the commissions and boards that I have, right? Yeah,
Probably seven.
most of it, yeah. But I don't know, it was almost conduct unbecoming. I do want to take a and recognize Karen Gorman. Hi, Karen. Many of you may not know, but on January 28th, 2025, you know, I'm new to the county board. Karen was my very first appointment as a board member. So good to still see you here 11 months in. I know you sent me an email a few months ago to attend. I just couldn't make it to that event. The layoffs piece, you know, we talked a little bit about how the board has really tackled the moment, whether it's been food insecurity. I'll tell you my frame of thinking. For me, it is people than programs. All right. I am, you know, we're in some very tough times when it comes to our people. That's where I lean in first. When we, you know, furloughs and firings up, I'm just not there with that. But I'm glad to know that we have done our due diligence. And lastly, community engagement. Engagement is effective communication is the key to success, right? In my opinion. And so as you get into, Peggy, y'all get ready for March of 2026, let's try to use all the levers that we have. Use me, right? Through Arlington County government, through our social media, let me know if you have any barriers, because you want some engagement with this community engagement forum, and I want to help that be successful and get the word passed, not just Community York, but we want to use the full extension of the county government to pass the word, okay?
So we appreciate it, Rob. I appreciate that.
We can make that happen. Anything unless it's a failure is not an option. Okay. Other than that, Bill, thank you for this. Anything for me?
JD, really appreciate it, and we'll follow up on Nova, MWCOG, and appreciate all your
Been
support.
great to have some folks on the cog with me as we go and Karen, thank you. And no, seriously, you're historic. Like you're my very first. You set a high bar for everyone. So I'll stay about 5 more minutes.
Great. I think Claire wanted to make a comment. Claire, if you're still there, this is your chance. Claire? Okay, we'll come back to her when she returns. All right, how are we doing? I think we still have time for, some more time for Ayana, right? She's coming at 10, is that right?
Yeah, let me show you she's there.
Okay.
We're ready to move on.
So in the meantime, we will do the exciting part about approving October meeting minutes. And does anyone have anything beyond, typos or anything, any objections to approving the October minutes? If not, I move that they be, approved. Any objections? Okay, they're approved. Okay. Done. Okay, Justin's all about that. Okay, I provided the chair's report earlier. We really appreciate JD being here and you know, and supporting us and offering to support us again in the future. We provided the legislative updates. And essentially, we did the committee and work updates as well.
Very efficient.
So if there is anything else, let me know. Otherwise, we're gonna go, is there anything else on the committees? All right, so I'm gonna go to the liaison updates, age-friendly Arlington.
The only update I have is that we did submit the AARP required annual report at the end of last month. So that went in. I sent it out to the chairs. If you want to share it with your committee members, that would be great. But it was a pretty comprehensive survey that we had to complete. And Rachel, thank you for your help. It was interesting because some of the questions were very broad, but others were very specific around disaster preparedness was one of them. And Rachel had just completed the state plan on disaster preparedness. And then the other was around spinoffs from the age-friendly work. And there were a number of those that we reported in the survey responses, including the walking school bus and the flashing lights at the intersections and the age-friendly ecosystem summit that's been underway. So thanks again for everyone who helped with that.
Yeah,
That's it.
thank you, Kevin. Thanks. All right, do we have the Alexandria Commission online? And how about the 55+ program?
Yes.
Jennifer, how you doing?
Good morning.
Morning.
We're
all ears.
Sorry, just
All
real
right.
quick, can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, sorry. We are happy to say we are fully staffed now. Just last week, we welcomed Molly Baluta, who is our new program coordinator for the Congregate Mill program at Walter Reed. We're thrilled to have Molly, recent graduate from Texas A&M with a degree in public administration. And so and she's got a lot of experience with senior centers there in the College Station area. So she started last week. And so I keep just knock on wood. Currently, we're fully staffed and we continue to work closely. I have a meeting today on digital equity with the Alliance. So moving forward on some of those programs. And we did offer with the Digital Equity Coalition, we had a Connected Nation came back a couple weeks ago and did 3 days of free classes at Arlington Mill for basic computer skills. And those were well attended, but not as well attended as they were last February when we offered them to, maybe for various reasons. So, but that's our big thing. We also have our winter 55+ guide is out, and that's online if anybody wants to look it up. And we have registration that's starting tomorrow for those programs.
All right, thank you, Jennifer. Anything you need from our side?
Not at this moment.
Okay, super.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, Wendy, A and B, would you like to provide any liaison updates?
A quick update. One good with challenge and one just straight good. Good with challenge. The number of lower income seniors we're supporting right now is up to about 46% of our membership. It's much greater than we had budgeted for. We thought our financial aid fund need for this year would be about $80,000. It's turning out to be about $110,000. So we're in the midst of our fall fundraising campaign, and we hope to reach that number and be able to continue to support the folks that are on board now and the more that are in the pipeline. That's a challenge. But the good news is we're having our Thanksgiving dinner this coming Friday. We've got 150 people signed up, and that's a dinner that's at no cost to the participants. So 5 o'clock this coming Friday, we'll be celebrating Thanksgiving with about 150 of our members and volunteers and supporters.
Super. Thank you, Wendy. Any support you need from our side?
Well, if anybody wants to make a donation, they're welcome to.
All right, well, super. Thank you so much. I see Bonnie on there. Bonnie, did you have anything updates that you want to provide?
No, I don't. It's just lovely to see everybody. We're still on track for our deliverables for our Arlington contract, so we're good to go.
Super. Thank you, Bonnie. And Alice, would you like to provide any updates on housing? All right. Claire, are you back? Okay, we can check in with Claire later as well. All right, so at this, well, I appreciate all the updates. Wanted to give you guys the shine the light on the work that you've been doing while JD is here, and also for the staff, of course, because you're making things happen. So looks like we have maybe 5-10 minutes before Ayanna Bellamy Bowles, the Vice President of Housing for Path Forward, will be joining us, and our staff has suggested appropriately that we take a break, and so we're going to take a break in place. Don't go anywhere. But yeah, so we're going to take a break, and when Ayanna joins us, we'll resume. Thank you. Off the record. There's three things you back.
Because we're not friends, so I'm in the same boat.
Trying to get things done by.
Mine as well. In May, that would be like seeing the versus. So I think that's what. Yeah. More of a check. Yeah. All risk assessment. Like those kind of basic things.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe a little bit. Yes, and so it's like the 1 year. Everybody but there's so many different that would be like this. And I think it almost been some new big stories. They're like putting the plans in place. So I think I was just so one that was from but I mean, I think Yeah. So like, some. But they are because of. Very, like, those are special populations where they have. Yeah. Like the senior adults that are identified as and because they have increased in terms of the possibility of how can they go to. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like beyond. Right. Yeah, those are the. Yes. Yeah. We're going to be talking about that. We all just make a call. All right. Yeah. This one is actually doing this. More of their areas. Even though.
Not really that, usually it's.
But yeah, entering the medical discussion to that. Like the tech.
Even when the agency, I think sure knows this. Did that like, hey, it's not a lot of game.
Yeah.
Last week, I got it. Be here. So, yeah.
It's only been 2 weeks.
So conversation.
We're gonna get started. Ayana is here. Thank you, Ayana. The VP of Housing at Path Forward. And we know that housing is a key and important need, of course, especially in Arlington where price is so high. Do we have everyone? I hope so. And so we can get started. I don't know if Kasha, do you want to do any intros?
I'll just preempt.
Okay.
If you don't mind. So, something that we have just noticed over the years is the increased number of senior adults entering shelter. So at any given time, we're almost at 50% of 55 plus in shelters. And how JD mentioned about hypothermia, we are literally in the 3rd week of hypothermia this season, and we are over the maximum what we are allowed to have between this location and RPC, which is on Columbia Pike. And so just real quick, in April, the county had asked us to take over operating the RPC single adult shelter. That's another 42 bed capacity. So now Path Forward operates here, which is 55 beds all year round. 5 of those are medical beds and medical respite. So those that will be able to stay for the tour, we'll take a look at that. And then November 1st through March 31st, we have a capacity of 25 spaces here, which are on the 7th floor, and then an additional 16 at RPC. So, we are over 100 plus individuals all the time, right? And imagine almost 50% of that being 55 and older with higher level of needs. I mean, Rachel and Joanne, we're like constantly in touch with the hospital, and then just even internally within our programs, how do we accommodate those individuals' needs? And so Ayana will speak to the different housing programs because a number of our clients are aging in housing that have been housed previously and are still housed. And then, of course, we're also working with the county with the more challenging part of it is how do we keep someone in housing, let them age in housing with wraparound services, which have to come from somewhere, right? And most of that comes from the county. So, Ayana, it's your turn.
Thank you.
Please feel free to move around or whatever.
I know, I might
Feel
stay on
comfortable.
the move, but I'll start here.
Okay.
Well, thank you guys for joining this morning. I'm just gonna give you kind of an overview of some of our housing programs and some of those challenges and trends that we see, our collaboration with aging and disability, and just how we're really trying to combat the high number of seniors that are homeless, which of course is nationwide. This is a problem everywhere, right? But our first program that we've had, and we've had the longest, would be called the Permanent Supportive Housing. We call PSH for short.
For that program, one would need to be chronically homeless, which HUD defines as either a year of time frame homelessness that can be in shelters, it could be on the streets, but they also have to have that disabling condition. So there has to be a need for the case management that comes with it. Because with that program, they have a case manager they're assigned to, and that case manager meets with them on a weekly, sometimes bi-weekly, sometimes a few times a week. It really depends on the need for that person. So that program we've actually had up and running since 2007. We started with about 6 participants, and now we have a little over 100 participants in that program. So we've grown it a lot. That's one of our highest funding that we get in HUD funding. Of course, we are expecting some changes to come about just due to the government and things. As soon as the government opened last week, they dropped the new NOFA, and there are definitely going to be some changes that we have to make. That program is ran off of what we call Housing First, the Housing First model, meaning house them first, bring the wraparound services later. And it really works definitely to an extent because folks who, you know, if we're able to connect with them, get that rapport and get them into housing, then we can work on all of the other things that they may need later. If that's mental health or substance abuse or bringing in, you know, nurse aides, all of that stuff we can bring into them later. Some of the changes that they're trying to make, though, is requiring a lot of these things that they didn't require before. So that is going to be much more of a challenge for us. So we're trying to really work out how we're going to do this. For the permanent supportive housing program, one does not have to have income. That's one of those things we'll work on because now we know where they are. A lot of folks who are experiencing homelessness, they're kind of just in a survival mode. So they're just, you know, they may be panhandling. They may, you know, go do things throughout the day to stay busy. But once they have a home, we know where to find them. So now we can bring the worker to them if we need to. We can work on applications for benefits that they may qualify for because now we know where they are. So that's been a big help for us. There's no time frame in regards to how long someone could be in PSH as of right now, at least. They're trying to change that too, but one can be in the program. We've had some participants who've been in the program since we started. And it speaks to the values because they really need the supportive services. And without those supportive services, they probably won't make it in housing. Having someone come and check on them, help pay bills, kind of, you know, work on any tenant related issues they may be having. Those are all things that the case manager is really trying to work with them on to maintain their housing. I always say it's easy to give someone keys and get them into housing, but that's kind of where people think, oh, that they got housing now, they're fine. Nah, not at all. Especially if there's folks who have been experiencing homelessness for 10 plus years. A lot of times that's what we're seeing. Folks who have been homeless a long time or folks who go in and out of homelessness. They really do need that supportive services and that case management and whatever other services we can bring around them to kind of hold them there and maintain and make sure they're stable in their housing. I've had clients who will leave housing because maybe they get a bill or they get a letter they don't understand, so they think they're being evicted. So they'll leave at the drop of a dime because they think, oh, I'm getting put out. I got to go find somewhere else. And we don't want that. So sometimes we have to have outreach, and Cautious team will go out and look for folks who are in our program, but they just said, oh, I just can't do it anymore. I don't know how to do it anymore. So we just try to keep them kind of positive and re-encourage them to just reach out to us when you have questions. If you get a letter, bring it to me, let me read it, let me explain it to you and let you know kind of what we can do to get the assistance that you need. Because there's all types of resources. So we want to be able to make sure we connect them to the right resources. Okay? Yes. Oh, you have a question? Oh,
Can I
if you have any questions, you can ask.
Is the housing itself, is it all over the county?
Yes.
You find apartments?
Yeah. So we have scattered site apartments all throughout Arlington County. We work with a lot of the major developers. So True Grounds, we work with all the time. Wesley Housing, we work with. AHC, we work with a lot of their programs, and they have a good majority of the developing kind of units around, properties around that are affordable housing. So we work with them all the time. However, we also work with private landlords. We have some folks, if they're, you know, private landlords and they're renting out a unit, I just confirmed last week. There's someone in North Carolina she lives, but she has 2 units here in Arlington that she's renting to us for, for this. And it's kind of a win-win because a lot of landlords see it as, okay, it's guaranteed money, right? So they know they're gonna get paid from the subsidy portion of it, and there's case management. So I've had some landlords who will ask if they have other folks in units, and they'll say, well, what can I do to get this other tenant into your program? I'm like, it doesn't work like that. But it's because if there's any issues, there's someone they can reach out to, and then we'll go over immediately and talk to that person, help them to combat those issues. If it's housekeeping, if it's relaying something as small as a leak in the kitchen where they may not think it's a big deal, but it's like, no, we have to, get maintenance on this because it can become a larger issue later.
So all your housing are apartments?
Yes. Yep. Most of our
No single family?
No single family homes, only because of the amount of rent is usually too high. We have had some folks who have found like a single family home somewhere else, and we're able to use some other funding to move them to that jurisdiction. So we can assist with
outside of Arlington,
yes,
like Fairfax,
yeah,
Maryland.
Yeah, we can use the funding to move them. We just won't be able to continue the subsidy. So it'd be a one-time assistance. And that's a good segue because our next program is where we use those funds, and that's the Rapid Rehousing Program. We call RRH for short. So for rapid rehousing, this one we tried to use more of a bridge. So if it's folks who really need a lot of supportive services, we'll go with the permanent supportive housing route. But if it's someone who maybe they just entered into shelter, maybe, they lost their job and they just need kind of a leg up to get back into housing and get back on their feet again, then the rapid rehousing program is more the speed that we'll go for that one. That one does have a time frame of 24 months of assistance, so they can't exceed 24 months of rental assistance. There is case management with that program as well. It doesn't have to be weekly. It might be at least once a month, sometimes twice, and or as needed. So there are some folks that we see more depending on what's going on. But our main thing that in that program, because it's time sensitive, we want to focus on them getting income, getting stable, helping them to transition to another subsidy, which is usually the Arlington County Housing Grant. So if they qualify for that subsidy, that'll be the main kind of focus. Once they get income, if they're not connected to BHD for services and they need that, we'll try to make that connection, help them to apply to any resources, food banks, things like that that they may qualify for. But our main goal is really trying to get that income piece because that's what they're going to need in order to sustain after we step away, since it's only 24 months of assistance. And with that program, that's where we can use funding from that program to move folks to different jurisdictions if we need to.
So yeah, are these individuals, are they families for these two programs?
They're mostly all individuals. So since we primarily work with singles, we usually just have singles in our program. However, we do partner with other family providers in the COC. So we do partner with Doorways. One of our permanent supportive housing programs, actually, we partner with Doorways, and we are able to serve a small number of families in that program. So we do that, even with our rapid rehousing dollars. Sometimes if Doorways or Bridges to Independence, they may have some families, but they don't have the dollars to kind of move them into those units, then we'll utilize our funding to get them out of shelter and make room for someone else in those shelters. Because of course, as we know, all of the shelters are full, especially the family shelters. And we've also been assisting with some folks who were in hotels, and some families that the county had put in hotels because of things being full, the shelters being full. So we've been able to use some of those dollars as well to get them out of those hotels and into housing. And then we just bring those supportive services, those wraparound services, and we work with Bridges and Doorways. Really, that's important because a lot of the services and resources Bridges and Doorways know about. So in our programs, because we work with singles, like in one of our permanent supportive housing programs, we have a mom who has autistic twins. So it's imperative to have Doorways there because they know of all the resources. Whereas we may not, because we don't work with, child and family services, we don't work with those. So it's really helpful because The Doorways case manager has connected the twins to all the services in home and after school programs and transportation, all those things that we really wouldn't know where to go in regards to that. So it's very helpful to have that collaboration within the COC, definitely.
We do have married with no children, not very often, but
Yeah.
we do house.
Yes, we do have,
Yeah.
yes, we do have some couples, because it is based off of what their household is to them, right? So we've had some folks who are in shelter who were married or they're a couple. So we're able to utilize those fundings, those programs, and put those folks into our housing programs as well. So yes, it doesn't happen that often, but we have a few. And a lot of times, well, so far, I think what's happened is one of the spouses have been really sick and or will pass away, and then we have the spouse still in the program. Yes.
The other programs?
Yes, our last program, just the last one? Well, yeah, kind of sort of the last one. Our last one is, it's called SNOFO, is what HUD calls it. This is the supplemental NOFO. So this was a program that was brand new that HUD kind of created after COVID. What we realized during COVID is folks who would be homeless on the streets that would never come to shelter. When COVID happened, they were actually willing to come to shelter. However, at that point, we had to decompress shelter because of social distancing and the spread of the virus. So we started utilizing the hotels where we would put folks that were maybe vulnerable to the virus there, things like that. And what we noticed is those clients who were on the streets would go to the hotels. So what we've done with what they call the SNOFO program, there's two components. So there's a housing component and there's also the rapid rehousing component. So we can go the traditional rapid rehousing rate, right? The same one I just mentioned, where we can get folks in to that program. But we also have the transitional housing component, which is really helpful because it's that what we call master lease. So, and then we sublease it to the clients. And with those programs, we're able to take folks straight off the streets and put them into those apartments same day. There's no wait time. We can meet with them, get the paperwork done, we can move them right in. And what's really been helpful is we thought about how can we best serve some seniors in this program. So we did a good collaboration and MOU with Aging and Disability, which Rachel and Joanne have been super, super great with. But we're able to take folks who are either, seniors, maybe they're living on the streets, and or if they're in shelter, maybe shelter isn't the best place for them. Maybe they need more supports. They need the nurse aides to come in. Maybe, shelter is not the safest place for them. Then we can utilize those units, place them in those transitional housing units, and then we work with Joanne's team so they can actually start setting up all of those aging and disability services that they need in order to maintain their in those units, while we work on kind of what those next steps can be. And we're on calls all the time. So we're able to kind of talk through what that looks like. For some folks, it's been a nursing home, right? Maybe living alone is just not the best option for them. So they can wait in transitional housing until something becomes available with a nursing home, or while we try to find one that may or may not be in this area. For some folks, that's assisted living. So same thing, they can kind of wait there, have aides coming in, providing those services until something becomes available, and we can move them to the assisted living facility. And for some folks, it might be going into a traditional independent living space, but it kind of provides us the time that we need to get all those pieces together to say, okay, they're going to need an ADA unit. So let's find one that has, that ability to take them. And how many hours of an aid are they going to need? Are they going to need Meals on Wheels? Like really kind of ironing out those details while they're set up in a unit, and we can kind of work on those pieces as they come in.
What does the acronym stand for, the name of the program?
For SNOFO, it's the supplemental, hold on.
Notice of funding opportunity.
Notice of funding opportunity. Yeah, it's the NOFO. That's what I was like, I'm getting ready to give you another one. So yes, and that's what HUD releases every year for the renewals of projects and or new projects. And the talk is that they're trying to kind of do away with permanent supportive housing and cap it at about 30% or so, which is really low because about 90% of our program programs of permanent supportive housing. And they want to make it all almost like a transitional housing / rapid rehousing. So given that time frame to say you have this long to kind of get it together, which is going to be hard for a lot of our folks, especially because yes, like Kasha mentioned, we have folks that are aging into housing as well and while in housing as well. So as they've been there, we're starting to see, okay, yesterday I was on the phone for about 2 hours with one of our clients that we have in one of our supportive housing sites who left her water running for hours. And when we go, I had to have someone go up with the key to go check on her. And we ended up having to call the police because we're just like, she wasn't responding and she forgot that she even had the water running, but we're getting all the water down in the basement. So things like that is like, but it's helpful because we also do have some supportive housing sites. So we do have a few sites. Over in the Westover area, we have an MOU with True Grounds for one of their buildings for Fisher House that when they remodeled those, they actually gave us one of those buildings. Well, not gave, but they let us run kind of who gets placed there in permanent supportive housing. They built an office space for us. So I have case managers and I also have life skills coaches that are in that building after hours. So the life skills coaches are there from 4 in the evening to 12 midnight, on the weekends from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. and also on the holidays, which really helps because one thing we did notice is when folks go into housing, they get lonely. You're kind of taking them away from their community, taking them out of shelter or away from who they were living around on the streets. And you're placing them in an apartment and now you're saying you can't have anybody live with you, right? Because the lease is in your name. So you can't be that nice friend wanting to bring people in because then you get violations for that. So they start to get really lonely. So one of the things we kind of thought about is what can we do to kind of help combat this loneliness so folks aren't making bad decisions. So we were able to put the life skills coaches there. They plan events and different things in the building. Clients can just come down, watch TV, have coffee or tea or talk, whatever, they kind of want to do is kind of open for them. So we have that at Cybert House, at Fisher House. And most recently we were granted the contract for Arlington Mill over on Columbia Pike. So Arlington Mill has a wing for formerly homeless folks right there with 8 studio apartments.
Oh, within the center itself?
Yeah, on the side. Yeah, right on the side of the building. You wouldn't even know it.
Right.
Yes, right on the side of the building, there's just a wing of just studio apartments. And when the county did that with, well, it was then, now the True Grounds, but at the time they were APA. But they were able to take folks that were homeless in shelters on the streets, place them into those units. And before, the county had contractors that were coming in and doing the supportive services. Now they've allowed us to kind of come in and do that. So we are at Arlington Mill now as well. I have a case manager that'll be there during the day. I have one in the evening from 4 to 12, and then I also have weekends and holidays there. So we're doing the same things that we kind of mimic at other buildings. Yeah.
Do you have access to funds for accommodations for persons with disabilities? If you need to build a ramp or need to do any other
Yes.
modifications?
So we have some funding within our grants that we have, but we also we get like housing trust fund dollars that we could look into doing those. That for one of our buildings, since we don't own the other buildings, right? We can't do too much. We can do some accommodations if we need grab bars, things like that. But if it's like a ramp or something of that sort, we're actually looking into that for one of our supportive housing buildings now to make it more ADA compliant and trying to see if that's a building that we may want to if we can get it ADA compliant, probably try to serve seniors there for the most part, seniors only, because we really need the space to do that. So,
And for the transitional housing, you've been able to work with the landlords of, if there is somebody that needs that, identifying a unit specifically for that individual. But it speaks so much to the relationships that you all have with the property managers, the landlords that you can ask with, and it's been really helpful.
Yes. Yeah, that's something that we talk about during our meetings when we're looking at taking those seniors in. We'll look at the apartments and then we'll ask Rachel and her team, what does this person need? And if they need grab bars and things of that sort, we can work with the landlords to get that put in. They may just need a letter or something, which Tasha's really good at. Anytime we need those letters, we may need a letter just for them to justify the cost and why they're making those accommodations, but we get all of those upgrades and updates kind of put in through the property management.
Thank you, Yana. So yes, we're listening to your presentation. Also, want to put two things on your radar. I'm gonna circulate from that side any questions that people might have.
Okay.
Also, one of the goals that we have under housing is to meet with homeless shelter and supportive housing staff to learn more about the needs and how we might help. And by year end, make 2 visits. We look forward to any comments you might have along those lines as well. Anything that we could help with.
Oh.
Yeah, just throw it out. I mean, don't edit yourself. I mean, some may work, some may not, but let us know.
I think just, of course, I say this in every meeting, more affordable housing, always more affordable housing. Access to those ADA units are really important. Sometimes we have folks who, need those ramps or those elevator buildings, or if they're in wheelchairs, they need kind of access to things to be kind of down to their level. Household things and furniture is always a big thing. I always say that in any meetings I'm at where folks are like, and sometimes it works out perfect. I had someone reach out to me last week. It was like, hey, my mom's going to a nursing facility. I have a bunch of stuff of hers that, I need to figure out what to do. And if we can make that coordination, and even for folks who are moving into housing, that's always a plus.
So you guys come and pick it up, is that what you're saying?
We can work on that. Yep. If it's local, if it's something that we're able to get, yes. Sometimes we have folks who are able to drop it off and we'll just meet them at the client's house and help to get it in there. We're very flexible.
Are there particular items that are usually in high demand?
Everything right now because we're housing so many people, but beds, bedding, just even household kitchen supplies. What is it?
Just like startup set items.
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And you can look at our website. We have a wish list on the Path Forward website, and I think they have all that stuff listed too. But yeah, startup stuff. Usually we have groups that may come together and do what we call making a home baskets. So they'll put they'll get like a laundry basket and just fill it up with all the kind of the starting things that you would need when you're moving in.
So you guys linked into like Amazon where you can buy
Yeah.
dish rack and give it to you.
Exactly.
Okay, so you can just do it online completely.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah, everything's in our website and it's linked to the wish list. So if you do it that way, it comes straight from Amazon to us and then we get it out to the folks.
Great.
Mhm.
Looks like we've got a section.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh,
Who's got a question?
Yeah, I have a question.
Can we turn it up? Yes, Maimuna, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ayana. This is wonderful information. Thank you for your partnership and collaboration with Aging and Disability Services. We do on occasion get local churches to reach out to us and say, how can we help? So it's really nice that we can point them to your website. I wondered if there's anything specific for seniors. Some of our senior ministries are reaching out to us and want to make sure that their contributions go directly to seniors. Would that website allow them to, have their contributions go directly to some of the seniors?
Oh, that's a good question. So I think and on the website, it wouldn't necessarily go directly to seniors. However, if they reach out to us and or our volunteer coordinator, who kind of handles all of that, John, and they say, hey, this is what I wanted to do for seniors specifically, then he'll coordinate with us and we'll make sure that the seniors on the team definitely in our housing programs would benefit from those. Good question though, yes. And things like Depends, Chucks, all those things that seniors need, I think that's good too. Usually I just come begging Kasha when we have someone who needs them. Well, of course, that's probably even in their shelter budget, but when they need it, Insure, I think is another one that I've come to Kasha for. So those type of things are also definitely helpful.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you.
Do you prefer getting cash so you can buy it in bulk or actually boxes of Insure?
I think, well,
So I would probably say like the monetary donation would be better, only because sometimes if we get it all in bulk, it has an expiration date, right? And you don't really know when it's gonna expire until it arrives. And so our need kind of ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
So it would just be better to have that money earmarked for that purpose versus getting a whole bunch of insure that's gonna expire in 6 months, 8 months.
Mm-hmm. And then to speak to my moving part, if it was a financial thing, then you can definitely say this is for, you know, the seniors in housing and for insure and whatever, you know, the purpose of that will go for.
I have a question. Do you, go out to different churches to give a little presentation on what you do? Because I think it's very important. We had Doorway to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And our church took up a collection
Mm-hmm.
and sent them the money. They prefer money over bulk items.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I was just wondering,
So yes, we do. We have an outreach coordinator in our development team, Scott Miller,
okay,
who connects with the local churches, schools. They, not only do they do presentations, but they do like fundraising, they do walkathons, especially with the schools.
okay.
So yes, we do have a person that does that.
And if you want to send Dustin his contact info, we can send that out with the follow-up.
Okay.
Awesome.
Great.
We haven't gotten to your church yet. We need to. There's a lot of churches here.
I would say also for older adults, like having caution, having a nurse practitioner is one of the unique things about Path Forward and the respite beds. I know you'll cover that in the tours, but could you talk a little bit about like that, the uniqueness of?
Yeah. So, yeah, the nice thing is that we can address their acute needs, right? And even chronic needs and get them connected to like a long-term provider or, you know, care coordination. But I think what's even more unique and really like life-changing is like our team goes out on outreach, and we're seeing an increased number of senior adults that are sleeping on the streets. Right, so like we go out 4 o'clock in the morning on myself on Tuesdays, and the sole purpose of that is not only to check on those individuals, but start making a connection. And then hoping that because they're gonna see us every week, like we tell them, I'm gonna be here on Tuesday at 4 a.m., 4:30 a.m. What do you need? And we follow up on that, right? So just that consistent effort and consistent presence makes a huge difference in getting them connected, because especially if they've been on the streets for a very long time. We're not talking about the recently unhoused. A lot of times, those that are recently unhoused will go directly through the services at DHS, right? But we are talking people that are aging on the streets, and the trust is not there, right? And so it may take someone that is a caseworker, maybe our outreach worker, it may be a medical person that's going to have that aha moment with that individual and connect them for services. So, I think that has been the most instrumental part, is just making that connection and meeting them where they're at and addressing their needs, not what we think are their needs. That really builds that relationship and it moves them forward. I mean, it might take 10 years, honestly, to get them connected to that service, but the consistent touch points are really the key.
I think Kathy had a question.
Yeah, kind of related to that. I imagine you see pretty high rates of mental illness among those who are homeless.
Yeah.
How do you, how are those services provided to those that you have reached and are accepting of the services? Are mental health services provided here and or the VHC and local providers and the county One Quotas program for older adults?
So there's a couple ways that we do that. The longest standing way is that the behavioral health division at the county has a treatment on wheels team, which are social workers trained to work with individuals that are unhoused. And so Mike is the one that is most often out on outreach with us. So like he and I will go out at 4 o'clock in the morning. And then he goes out with other members of the outreach team. There are also other members on the tow team that will come into shelters and work with individuals. But Mike is one of our street outreach partners. So they will make that connection and see if that individual is ready to connect for services. I mean, we never force it because they have the right to self-determination, right? The other part of it is within the last couple of years, but this year, we actually, have a clinical social worker that's part of our team. Her name is Lisa. And so she's here Monday through Thursday. And so she will meet with individuals and she holds group therapy. And then we have a peer support specialist. So that's an individual that has experienced homelessness, experienced addiction, experienced mental health. And his name is Roger. He joined us in June. And so he's also instrumental in making that connection with individuals. And so we do that here, in the center.
Yeah.
Are there any other quick questions? Because I want to be mindful of the tour. Any other quick questions?
I think the question behind it.
Yeah, Erica. Yes.
Assisted living, you mentioned assisted living, we all know there's no affordable assisted living, and now we have less, and I wondered, so where do people who need it?
Mary Marshall.
Yeah, go.
Mary Marshall. Mary Marshall.
So have you used arrangements with any of the private, assisted living providers?
We do not, usually, I'll be honest, I lean on Rachel. For assisted living, and she's been good at even if we have to finding assisted living outside of Arlington. Sometimes we've had to do that as well. But yes, Rachel and her team have the most knowledge in regards to assisted living, nursing facilities, all of that.
So Mary Marshall is really the primary.
Mary Marshall, we've used Birmingham Green.
Birmingham Green.
And having this transitional housing model has been invaluable because we've had individuals we've had to pursue guardianship for, individuals we've had to connect with family, I think in Texas, like out of state, and they were not very forthcoming with that information. So, really having that buffer for individuals because them being in shelter is a lot on the staff that is already really overtaxed, but it's also their safety. Sometimes like getting in fights with other people in shelter, sometimes staff, it hasn't always been appropriate, but they've been very successful in transitional housing with very intensive wraparound services. But William, you asked sort of the level of support. I think, the advocacy with some of our elected officials, but we're also looking at other communities do have sort of dedicated shelter for older adults. And so, that's something because when somebody is here, we will coordinate to try and bring in like a CNA or a home health aide. We'll screen them. They get priority for Medicaid waiver screenings if they do need nursing home, assisted living, determining that level of care. But it is a lot for the staff. And so sometimes people are not appropriate for shelter and that creates very like crisis situations. But then I think the other part of that, so looking at, is that a model we would want to pursue? But the diversion. Yes, but diversion is the biggest piece. We don't want people coming to shelter. And so those are areas where when we run out of emergency financial assistance to prevent an eviction, if somebody is laid off or they didn't get paid for the last 6 weeks, like we don't want to see that. And then Haja's on the call as well. And we received the Benefits Enrollment Center grant through the National Council on Aging. And with that, we were able to really focus on homeless prevention. So diversion, whatever that looks like, is probably another way. This is a very engaged group of advocates around the table and on the call. And so I think, hoping that this is not just the only conversation, that there are ways to get involved, to volunteer, to be more present as well, because this is an issue that's really impacting Arlington, other communities, and we don't just see Arlington residents. Sometimes we see people coming from DC, California, Texas, just looking at this area as well. So y'all are doing great work and we really appreciate everything.
I mean, we have had in years past and even more recently within the last few months, we had individuals that did not have legal status, but they've been in the States for decades. But now their help has declined and they're not going to be eligible for any kind of support service. And so we worked with the county to this one individual, 84-year-old gentleman, He didn't appear to be very sick at first, but then once he agreed to come in, he required hospitalizations, he had required chronic oxygen, and, the county was instrumental in helping us get him connected to family that thought he actually has passed away. And, we ended up getting him back home to, Bolivia, where his family was waiting for him. And so,
Yeah.
Great. Oh, thank you guys for that update. How many are gonna stay for the tour? Okay, great. So how long do you think that'll take? Half hour?
it depends on how many questions you have.
So that's, yeah, so we got the tour, we have more questions. And also, regarding how we can help, please, shoot us a bullet list, doesn't have to be,
Send it to me.
yeah, and also copy me, so that, and,
Copy.
yeah, and then we'll get it over to our housing, committee as well. But before we leave, any other old business? Any new business? Okay, public comment. Do we have any public commenters? All right. Any announcements?
We have our health fair coming up on Thursday.
Hey, Alice. Yes, Alice is on.
Good
Yes, Alice, go
morning.
ahead.
Good morning. I
Morning.
dropped you an email with a few items, but I'm Alice Hogan with the Northern Virginia Affordable Housing Alliance. I just wanted to say this has been a very powerful meeting. The amazing work that's happening in the county to support our most vulnerable is just, it's remarkable. It's heartwarming. The professionals really supporting and meeting the needs of this population just makes me so proud. So I just want to say thank you for all that's happening. Thank you for stepping up for this population. And in terms of housing, I guess I dropped an email to you, William. I'm just wondering about how we might be able to partner more with our committee. I am on the housing committee for the Commission on Aging, but really looking at affordable assisted living and alternative models like the one on Yorktown Boulevard. I'm wondering if we might want to form a smaller group to really start taking a look, because as we know, this population is growing, the needs are growing, and we just don't have the infrastructure, we don't have the funding. There's so much missing, and I feel like we probably need to accelerate this effort. And I see some nodding in the room. I would just love to hear from people what, maybe we could just gather even a couple times to talk about what the needs
That'd be
are,
great.
what the resources are, what are other communities doing, like just to kind of jump into this, because it's only going to snowball on us. So just a couple comments, and again, a thank you to everyone in the room who's just doing incredible work. And I wanted to be there this morning. I'm sorry I wasn't. I would love to go on the tour, but I will sign up for another one on another day. So good on everybody there, and have a wonderful day. Thank you, William.
Yeah, thank you, Alice. I just want to say also, you're one of the strongest advocates for affordable housing. And you read my mind, because I was going to reach out to you. Alice and I were commenting on the Long Range Planning Commission, as well as the Lecky Gardens Affordable Housing. They're going to develop 250 units right on Lee Heights. And so we were sort of uncoordinated tag teaming, basically saying affordable housing is good. So yes, we're going to reach out to you, Alice, and incorporate the long-term care as well as the housing committee members. So thank you for that. Any other announcements online? All right, we are going to go on our tour and have your questions. And also we seek any ways that we can help from you, Ayana and Kasia. And so, all right, unless there's anything else, I am going to adjourn the sit-down meeting part, and we're going to go to the tour. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks.